This episode is brought to you by The Honeymoon Playbook. The Honeymoon Playbook offers ideas for sex, romance, and play. This Amazon best-selling and award-winning book is written by our very own sex educator and relationship coach, Marie-Claire Tovette. Check it out on Amazon and go get your copy today. Honeymoon Playbook, light a romantic fire in your relationship. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Passion Perspective, a look at everything in the world of sex and relationships. Today, my name is Emily.
And my name is Marie-Claire Tovette. Everybody just calls me MC.
And today, our special guest for the evening is Ruthi Cohen-Joyner. Now, Ruthi Cohen-Joyner is gratefully addicted to yoga, meditation, and Eft tapping. She is a nutritionist, transformational retreat leader, meditation teacher, coach and motivational speaker certified in hypnotherapy, Akashic record reading, EFT or emotional freedom techniques, and matrix reimprinting. Her focus is on helping women create loving relationships with their mind, body, and soul through releasing the emotional weight that is holding them back from all of their deepest desires. This allows them to step more fully into their personal power, passion, and purpose and live more fulfilling lives. She uses an incredibly effective combination of today's best tools to generate lasting breakthroughs, inspiration, and support. She also has several meditations, does Insight Lives, and is a published course creator on the popular meditation app Insight Timer. So welcome, Ruthi. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you both for having me here. I'm glad to be here.
That's where I met you, Ruthi, on Insight Timer. I said, I've got to find that lady. And it was so great to meet you. We were able to meet Alina also. You guys are going to learn more about Alina, who's an expert on EFT and tapping. And you are such a beautiful soul, Ruthi. Your voice and your EFT teachings on Insight Timer. I really recommend that people go there and actually go to Ruthi if you want to do work with tapping, because you have clients, right?
Yes.
You take clients on.
Yes.
That's fantastic. So welcome to The Passion Perspective. And we're really Emily's looking forward to learn more about tapping. I've been doing it for years and years and years, and I am converted. Anytime I have any kind of high emotions, or I'm scared, or I need to let go and release, if I had if I just had clients and it was stressful, because, teaching sexuality, helping couples with sexuality and communication is sometimes hard. So I go and I'm off to do an EFT technique so that I can live my life without bringing it into my world. So Emily's just diving into the EFT world for the first time.
I am a total EFT newbie. So this
nice. I love virgins.
Yes, that's me. So, and I think a lot of our listeners probably are too. So I think for me, and I think for all of them, the place I'd like to start is basically just explaining sort of what is EFT, how is it used, what are its advantages, and in particular, how can it help people in their relationships?
Great question, Emily. So I'll try to give you a nutshell instead of the long involved version, but EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, or tapping for short. And you're literally tapping on the meridian endpoints that are the same ones used in traditional Chinese medicine. And I can't tell you exactly how it works. I don't know the science of it that well, but there have been, I think, around 120 studies showing the effectiveness of EFT now. But you're literally, as you're tapping, you are lowering your cortisol level, your stress hormone. And as you calm down, so you're calming your nervous system, you're able to calm down, you're able to clear. So we have 3 C's: calm, clear, and create. You're able to clear what the blocks are, the negative thoughts, sometimes physical pain, sometimes cravings. I work a lot with women on emotional eating, so stopping the craving for the chocolate chip cookie or whatever. It's used in many different ways. And when you clear that, whatever it is your tapping target is, then you're able to create what you want to create. So the 3 C's: you calm, you clear, and then you can create. So that's a very nutshell answer to that.
And so this is something that people or couples would go to see somebody, an expert like yourself, to help with this? Or is this a self-administered thing? Or is this like acupuncture where you go and somebody else has to do it for you?
Great question. So the analogy that I like to give is think about your dental care. You brush your teeth at home, and EFT is the same way. There are things that you can do for yourself. You can calm your stress by yourself, right? You can clear when you're really upset with your partner or whatever. You can clear that so you can think more clearly. But if you're wanting to do some deep healing work, then you go to a sort of preferably certified practitioner and dive deeper into whatever's going on. And a lot of times, what's going on is not what you think it is. In other words, it's not what your partner just said that upset you. It's the fact that they have triggered something from your past. And so you do the deep healing work on the past so that you're able to function better in the present.
That's great. So does that help you, Emily? Is it starting to get clear? So you're tapping on parts of your body. We're going to do it later so you can
Yes.
you can get a really clear picture of what this is all about. So in my work as a couples coach, Ruthie, I notice that every couple has triggers. They forget to change the toilet paper roll. They bring back the car empty. They leave the dishes on the counter. You're on your way out the door and your partner wants to give you a long conversation and want to talk. I'm going to be late, right? So these are all triggers that my couples go through.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering how EFT can help people. You're talking about calm. How can people, what help would you give us with regards to helping us with these kind of triggers?
Well, it's interesting that you ask it that way because you had mentioned that you love the 3 N's, and the 3
Yes.
N's is just a little, I don't know, is that a mnemonic? Is that what you call it when you use the letters to remember something that I and a friend of mine, Deanna Lyons, who's also a EFT practitioner, created a few years ago, and it's simply notice it, name it, choose new. So when you're in relationship and you notice that every time he leaves his dirty underwear on the floor and it drives you nuts, then there may be something that's triggering from the past. So you notice it first. You notice, okay, maybe I'm overreacting here, or maybe there's something else going on. You have to notice first, right? You have to figure that out. And then you name it. You name that, huh, I'm feeling disrespected in this moment. And that makes me feel like I did with the way my dad treated me or whatever. And then you can choose something new. But I'll be honest with you and say we usually insert tapping between those two,
Okay.
meaning that once you notice what's going on and you can name it, okay, this is what I'm feeling. So you are
Okay.
naming the feeling, the emotion, what's happening for you. And then you do the tapping so that you're able to choose differently the next time. The next time he leaves his dirty underwear on the floor, you can go, oh, yeah, that's just the way he is, and it's not that big a deal. So you're triggered less when you've worked through whatever's from the past that it's triggering. Does that make sense?
That really makes sense. That's awesome. So the 3 N's, can you go over the 3 N's?
Yes. So it's notice it. It's about being, I call it the compassionate observer. So it's noticing your reactions to things, but in a compassionate, curious way, not in a judgmental way. Because when you're judging yourself, that's a whole nother layer of uh, getting upset, right? Because you're
You,
triggering yourself again.
you're gonna have to tap that.
Exactly, exactly. So
Exactly.
we're working toward, I put it
Yeah.
that way, because
Okay.
most of us are going to judge ourselves. Oh man, I can't believe I'm upset with them again. I thought I was past that. But nope, I'm upset about it again. So you notice it in a gentle, compassionate way, the compassionate observer, and then you can name it. Okay, I'm feeling upset about the dirty underwear again. Why is this such a big deal for me? Oh, it feels like not being respected. It's a respect thing for me. And that could bring up lots of things. So you've probably heard the saying before, if it's hysterical, it's historical. Is
Mm.
that
I
familiar?
have
If
never
it's
heard that.
I
okay,
haven't either, but that's great.
yeah.
Yeah. If
If it's
it's
hysterical,
hysterical,
it's
it's
historical.
historical.
So
Okay.
if you notice that your reaction is bigger than whatever's going on, then there's a very good chance you've triggered something from the past. And that's when you're able to really do the healing work on the past and let that go so that that you can then have a conversation with your partner in a loving, respectful way and be able to say, when you leave your underwear on the floor, I feel disrespected. What is a way we can work on this together? You know, whatever the wording would be, but you have to notice what's really going on first because
Mm,
you're going to, you know, when you're triggered, you can't have that conversation.
right. So you go back to your childhood, you think about what triggered that so that you can tap that feeling that you
Absolutely.
had when you were a child.
Yes.
You could tap on that. So if you felt shame because something was left on the floor when you were a child, or you saw something left on the floor and your mom gave you shame, or
Well,
how would that work?
it may or may not be that connect.
Specific?
Yeah, exactly. That's
Okay.
specific.
Okay.
That's a great way of putting it. It may be just what the feeling is that you get from it more than
Okay.
it is the exact same thing, if
Okay.
that makes
Got
sense.
it.
But
Yeah, it makes sense.
it could be
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, if
And
your dad used to do that, your mom got really upset about it, you may be playing out their drama instead of your own. So there's different ways of doing it, but in general, it's the feeling that you're looking for.
And I've heard now a couple of times saying like, and then you tap on that. Um, and I guess I'm curious to learn a little bit more about the interplay between, because it almost, the way I'm hearing it now, it sounds almost like two separate kind of things. It's like there's the work that you're doing, trying to look back and figure it out. And then there's the tapping. And I'm wondering if you can explain a little bit more the interplay between those things, like how do they work together, basically?
Well, I'm glad you said that, Emily, because it's actually two different things because you can use tapping on what you're feeling in the moment, right? So it can be well, you are tapping on what you're feeling in the moment, but almost always, if you're working with a practitioner, they're going to ask the question, when do you first remember feeling this way? There's going to be some version of that question. And then you're going to be tapping and then going into the past. And, well, you know, when I think about it, that's how my dad used to talk or whatever. And it won't always be from the past, but often it's from that 0 to 7-year-old time because that's when you're taking everything in like a sponge and you assume that your parents are right about everything. So if they're right, you must be wrong. So it gets really complicated when you get into that. And you mentioned matrix reimprinting, which is an offshoot of EFT, where the younger you actually becomes the client when you're working with a practitioner. So the matrix reimprinting part is not something that you're going to do on your own necessarily, because you really need somebody with you to do that. But let's just make up the scenario again. So your partner's left underwear on the floor, you're feeling disrespected, you go back and you realize, well, this reminds me of when I was 10 years old and my dad did blah, blah. So then when I'm working with you or whatever practitioner, they're going to say, okay, now imagine the 10-year-old here with you, and we're going to do tapping on her. And so, or them, whoever it may be, and do the tapping to clear out what you're holding on to from that 10-year-old viewpoint. And sometimes we have different, oh, well, you know what? My ex-husband did this too. I remember when I was 25 and blah, blah, blah. So it's not always the original. Sometimes there can be other, what we call echoes. There can be other times where you find the same pattern because a lot of times we replay the same patterns. Is that making any sense, Emily?
It does. Yeah, it makes sense. And it sounds like so tapping is um related to release. Like the
Yes.
action of tapping has to do with releasing. So kind of releasing those emotions or those ingrained feelings. Is that accurate to
Yes,
say, or there's
that
some
is pretty
nuance there?
accurate. When I first got into EFT, so I found it in 2009, but I actually trained in 2012. I originally thought you were tapping away the bad feelings. Okay, I'm angry. I'm going to tap away the anger. Now I see it more as you're tapping into the anger and you're mining it, if you will, for what all is there and what you can learn about it. So, shame, anger, sadness, whatever it may be, that you need to go into it and process it. You need to allow yourself to feel it, feel it to heal it. If I'm sure, well, I'm
Yeah.
going to guess you've heard that one before. So
Hmm.
you work through it instead of trying to bypass it. So we do truth telling in EFT. We start with what we are really feeling.
And then there's different points on the body that correspond with different emotions, or is it's a little bit different than that?
It is a little bit different than that. So Roger Callahan, who created thought field therapy, was a therapist. And the way the story goes is that he had a client named Mary who was severely afraid of water. And so he tapped with her. They cleared this fear of water, and supposedly she jumped into the water, that they were sitting at his backyard pool or something. So the story may have changed over time. I don't know. But the thing about Roger Callahan is that he created all these complicated algorithms. Okay, if you're working on physical pain, then you tap here and then you tap there and then you whatever. And then Gary Craig, the founder of EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques, was an engineer and he simplified it. He came up with one way of doing it. And there's slight variations. I will say different practitioners do things a little bit differently, but that it doesn't really matter. So it's not a particular place. Like you don't tap here for anger and here for sadness. It's that you're doing all the points. And you know, generally people find that they find one works better for them than others. So I don't know if that clarified it or made it more complicated for you.
No, that totally makes sense. That's very helpful.
So we went through noticing, and then
Yes.
we tapped, and we got rid of some feelings that we had from our childhood. Like we're noticing what those feelings were. We're living in those moments to release them, right? To release that
Yes.
blockage, so to speak.
Yes.
And then what's the next N?
So it's notice, name it, choose new. So the choose new part, and I was playing around with how to do this for couples. I think it's a lot about being in your power and being able to speak from a loving place instead of a triggered place. So the power of love, if you will, because obviously you're with this partner for a reason. There's love here, but in that moment when you're triggered, you lose that, right? You're
Yeah.
not in your power. You're feeling disempowered for whatever reason. And so coming back into your power after you've done the tapping, then you can choose from a place of love.
And choose from a we-ness perspective to move
Yes.
forward together in we-ness. Because I found with my clients, there's this like fight that's going on. I'm right, you're wrong, I'm right. You gotta get this. I'm right. And then you're getting hyperarousal and you're getting stressed. But choosing you means choosing we-ness to move forward. I love it.
I love
it.
that wording. Thank you for that. Yes.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So the last N is
Choose new.
choose new. Perfect. So this is awesome. So you can go through this whenever you're feeling stress. You could just go through these 3 N's so that you can move forward differently to in a place where you're feeling you want to really resolve. You want to resolve the issue. Sometimes we want to be right instead of really wanting to resolve the issue together, right, Ruthie?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you kind of have to let go of that wanting to be right all the time.
Yes,
It's tricky
absolutely.
for a lot of people.
It is, for
I
sure.
catch myself doing that all the time. It's like, do we want to be right or do we want to be happy? Like let's
Yes.
But I'm curious to know sort of in a practical sense, because it sounds like you said like this can be something that couples go into work with a practitioner on, but then there's a lot that they have to do at home. I imagine that this might be something that you run into where perhaps there's one of the partners who's interested in exploring EFT, but the other one isn't really on board. They think it's silly. They don't they don't quote unquote believe in it. And I'm just
Do you live
wondering.
in my house, Emily? Do you know how things are here? Yeah, my
And,
husband doesn't do this. But anyway, go ahead.
okay, so that's what I'm interested in, just to know sort of from a practical perspective, how do you integrate this into a relationship where one person thinks it's baloney, for lack of a better
Right.
word, and the other person is trying to use it as a way to move forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what I have found is when you are working on your own stuff, excuse me, and you're clearing your stuff and you see them differently and interact with them differently. And I love that wording, MC, of the we-ness of it, that because you're shifting and changing, you change the relationship. And therefore the dynamics are so different and they don't always have to do their work. But I will tell you a little cheat. You can do surrogate tapping, which is you could do tapping for someone else. So if I think that it's possible that they're triggered about whatever, then we can do tapping for them. And there's a little protocol of how to do that.
And so in a situation like when someone's in the thick of it, like they've come across something that triggers them, is the sort of going recommendation that you sort of, if the other person's there and you're starting to, it's starting to escalate, do you step away and do this? Like just take a few minutes to tap and to, as you said, the three
The three
ends.
ends. Yes.
Is
That's
that how that
exactly
works?
right, Emily. I have clients that say, I just went in the bathroom. I sat in the bathroom for 5 minutes and I'm so angry. Whatever. You know, we do what we call rant and tap, which is you tell the truth, you know, the truth telling part. I can't believe, what was he thinking? How dare he? You know, whatever so you're tapping on all of that. And because it lowers your cortisol, it lowers your stress, then you're just able to go, okay, this really was about my father and how my father used to speak to me, not about what's going on right now. I can see this differently. I'm ready to go back and say, I'm sorry that I reacted blah blah when you blah blah, and you're able to come into it in a different space. And hopefully, since they've had a few minutes to calm down too, that you're both coming into it in a different space, even if they're not working on their stuff directly.
Yeah, I love that part where you own what you own, a part, at least a part of what's
Yes.
going on. Like going back to your partner, you've self-soothed, I hope. That's what you're doing when you're doing EFT. You're
Yes.
self-soothing, and your partner might be doing whatever, he might be ruminating, who knows. But you're an example of, you know, you're the kind of the leader here. You're going back to the relationship and you're talking from a place of I, and you're talking about how you're feeling and you're owning whatever it is that you need to own in the situation, right? This is a really good thing
Absolutely.
so that you're not defending. It's not good to defend. I would love it if you could walk us through. I just had a big fight. My husband, huge fight. We were
Okay.
yelling. We were yelling because let me try to think of something because I left stuff on the counter. I did that this morning. He
Okay.
said, I'd really like if this counter was clean all
Yeah.
the time. Yet there's like piles of stuff where we leave it, but the counter needs to be clean. And that's a trigger. So I need to respect that, right? I need to like listen to him and try to make that happen. But I'm upset right now. Like, we just had a big fight about this. We really didn't, but I'm just
Right.
going to pretend we had a huge fight about this. And now we're going to tap as a couple.
Hmm. Okay, so
So
it is really beautiful if you can tap with someone like that, but I'll be honest that what Emily was saying, I think is more common
yeah,
that you're going to go off on your own and do your
yes,
own.
yeah.
But I love this. So if you're tapping together, a lot of times, hmm. So let me just say, and so many sayings I'm giving to you, but in EFT we have a saying: to be terrific, be specific. So to
Mhm.
be terrific, be specific. So instead of saying I'm stressed, you would say, I'm upset because you left so and so on the counter, and this makes me feel. So a lot of times you definitely want to get into the feelings that are related to it instead of the specific, whatever it is. It's more about the feelings than the
Mhm.
stuff on the counter. So we would do, and let me, can I go ahead and jump into tapping? Are
Jump
you
in.
guys
Let's
ready?
do it.
Okay.
Let's do
So
it.
let me give you a quick how to tap and then we will do it. So
Okay.
generally we tap on the side of the hand and do what's called a setup phrase. So you can go ahead and start doing this with me. Wait a minute, before you do it, just for fun, what is your stress level 0 to 10 right now? 10 being I am super stressed out. 0, I am so calm, like I just had sex, you know, that beautiful relaxed
Bliss.
feeling. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So just find that number for you right now. Where are you 0 to 10? And everybody listening, do this too, because it's fun to see what the tapping does for you, even if it's not specific to what you're working on. So
Okay.
do you both have a number?
Yep. I have a number. Do you want me to say it out loud?
Yeah, sure.
So I'll just say 6 because it's not bothering me that much right now.
Okay. Well, yes, it's about how you're feeling right now,
Right
but we'll
now.
say
Yeah.
6.
I'll say
Okay. And so
6.
Emily,
Okay.
what is your stress level just right now in this moment?
I would say 4.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now I'm going to show you how to tap. So you go to
So
the side
do
of,
I do this is like my dumb I'm
doesn't
right-handed.
matter.
Doesn't matter to you?
Doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Perfect.
It's really funny. I used to do this side, and then all of a sudden I got, this just is getting sore. So I switched to the other one.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
doesn't really matter.
Okay.
And so we're gently going to tap. And in a minute, I'm going to have you do this with me and repeat after me. It's like playing Simon Says. But right now, I'm just showing you the
Okay.
points. So when we're on the side of the hand, we do what's called a set up phrase or balancing statement. And this is even though I'm feeling so angry at you right now, even though I can't believe you did this again, whatever you're really feeling, and it may be thinking, like I just said, I can't believe you did this again, or I'm feeling so angry. And then you say something positive on the other side of that. So even though I'm so angry with you right now, I'm okay, or we're okay. So you're going to say something positive after you state the truth. Like I said, truth telling. And we usually do this 3 times on the side of the hand, but you don't have to. And then we do what's called a round. And so I'm going to take my glasses off for this. I start on the eyebrow point. A lot of practitioners start on the top of the head. It doesn't matter. I like to end on the top of the head. So you're just generally taking 2 fingers and you do a reminder phrase about whatever you're upset about. So when we do the side of the eye, we'll probably do both, but you can do one the whole time. Okay. So between the eyebrows and I should have asked, is this audio or video that people get, or both?
Both.
Both. Okay.
It'll be sometimes audio, sometimes video. So it'll be video on my YouTube channel and audio on the podcast.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I tell people the Botox point because I mean right
Botox
here
point.
between the eyebrows, not way up here on the forehead. So you're just gently tapping and you do a reminder phrase, and it might be something like, I'm feeling angry. Okay, you're going to focus on the emotion. Our next point is the side of the eye, and it's right on the side, the bone around the eye, not way back on the temple. And again, you're gently tapping one side or 2. There's not a right or wrong. The only caveat I'll give you is if you're really angry, be careful not to do this too hard. You don't want to be banging yourself in the head. All right, the next one is
so angry right now.
Yeah, exactly. You have to keep it where you're not
hurting myself.
Exactly. So the next one is under the eye. So those are the 3 around the eye. We call this one the eyebrow right between the eye, side of the eye, which is on the outside of the eye, and then under the eye. And then our next point is under the nose. So it's just between the lip and the nose.
2 fingers? Or
2 fingers. We're still sticking with 2 fingers. Our next point is called the chin, but it's actually the little cleft between the lip and the chin. So you're not down on the chin, you're between the lip and the chin. We just say chin because that's a whole lot easier than between the lip and the chin. And our next point is called the collarbone point, and you find your collarbones and then you go down about an inch and out about an inch. So I'm not sure what that is in centimeters, about 2.5 centimeters down, 2.5 centimeters out. Another way of doing this one is you can put your arms out straight like in a T and then bend them in, and where you land is the right spot.
There's a little groove there.
There is.
I do Qigong and Tai Chi, and we do a little bit of work on this meridian. There's a little groove in there. I think there's a little indentation.
Yes,
yeah.
It's a great spot.
Yeah.
So our next spot is called the underarm spot, and it's not right under the arm. It's about 4 inches down. So ladies, it's the bottom of the bra line. So again, I guess that'd be what, about 10 centimeters, I think would be about 4 inches. Yeah. And then the last point we're going to use today is the top of the head. So if you go to YouTube and you watch different practitioners do tapping, you may see some people do wrist points, you may see finger points, and there's a couple of others, but we're going to do the side of the hand, the 3 around the eye, under the nose, chin, collarbone, underarm, top of the head. And don't worry, I will say them when we're going around. So if you're just listening, I'll help you out with that.
I like your shortcut because I've done it like every finger except this one before. So this is a good shortcut. I love it because we're busy. We need to do the good fast version of EFT.
Right. So what you're talking about is what's called the long version. So we're doing the short version. And yeah, it kind of depends on the situation if you do the fingers and all that. But so let's see. So what would be the feeling, MC, if you're upset about the stuff on the counter? What would be the feeling you would have?
I've disappointed him.
Disappointed him. So are you feeling shame, sadness? Are you feeling disappointment? What is the feeling you're feeling, not what you think he's feeling?
I'm feeling disappointed in myself because
Okay.
I've heard this before and I just, didn't pay
Okay.
attention to it.
All right. So 0 to 10, how big is disappointment?
6.
Okay. So by the way, just the little bit of tapping we did just in a demo, if you will, did your numbers for stress stay at 6 and 4, or did they change just from that teeny bit of tapping? Just notice. It may have stayed exactly the same.
I think it went down to 5, actually.
Okay.
I think it's down. Yeah.
What about you, Emily? Is yours still at 4?
I would say that mine is still at 4.
Okay. So typically and we haven't really done a round yet. So we're going to do a round. And so Emily, I want you to tap with us too, and everybody else listening, even if you're not feeling disappointment with yourself, you can find what emotion you're feeling now if you've got something on, or you can just tap on stress because everybody has stress. We're recording this during the pandemic, and so there is stress on a high level for everyone. So we're just going to talk about the elephant in the room. There's a higher level of stress in general than there used to be. So all right, so I'm going to ask everybody to join me with this, and I like to take a deep breath before we start. You certainly don't have to do that. Emily, do you have any questions before we do it?
Nope, that demo
Okay.
was helpful. So I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So we're all going to go to the side of the hand and repeating after me. Even though I'm feeling disappointed with myself,
Even though I'm feeling disappointed with myself,
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
So even though I'm feeling disappointed with myself
Even though I'm feeling disappointed with myself,
because I left stuff on the counter
because
again,
I left stuff on the counter again,
I'm choosing to love and accept myself anyway.
I'm choosing to love and accept myself anyway.
So even though I'm feeling disappointed in this moment,
Even though I'm feeling disappointed in this moment,
I'm open to the possibility
I'm open to the possibility
that I can process this
that I can process this
and release and let it go.
and release and let it go.
All right, so now we're going to go to the eyebrow point. So I like to do just one finger, 2 fingers, but one hand for the eyebrow. I'm feeling disappointed in myself.
I'm feeling disappointed in myself.
Side of the eye. I'm feeling disappointed.
I'm feeling disappointed.
Under the eye. I'm disappointed I left stuff on the counter again.
I'm disappointed I left stuff on the counter again.
Under the nose. I'm disappointed that I let him down again.
I'm disappointed that I let him down again.
Chin. I'm just acknowledging how I feel.
I'm just acknowledging how I feel.
Collarbone, and I'm allowing myself to feel it.
And I'm allowing myself to feel it.
So we're going to stay here and just tap silently for a moment and let yourself feel it. So whatever you're feeling, anybody, doesn't matter what it is, just allow yourself to feel it. And going to the underarm, I'm just allowing myself to feel my disappointment.
I'm allowing myself to feel this disappointment.
Top of the head. And I'm open to releasing and letting it go.
I'm open to releasing it and letting it go.
All right, so we're going to take a deep breath here. And I'm going to ask you to tune back into what you're feeling, MC. Are you still feeling disappointed, or has it shifted or changed in any way?
It's changed. I'm feeling freer from this.
Okay,
I'm feeling more grounded.
nice. A lot of people say lighter is a common thing that people say.
Definitely feel lighter for sure.
So 0 to 10, how big does disappointment in yourself feel now?
Probably a 2.
Oh, nice. So you drop from a 6 to a 2 in one round. So what typically happens is 2 points drop. Not always. And by the way, some people go up before they go down. So
Okay.
it's not uncommon as you're putting your focus on it and allowing yourself to feel it that you feel worse before you feel better. So don't let that freak you out and say it's not working if you feel worse to begin with. And I'll be honest, sometimes I've worked with clients and they've stayed stuck for quite a while and I'm beginning to go, oh no, is this going to work? And then it just shifts. So I will tell you the shifts that I look for so that you can look for them in yourself. And that is if you sigh or yawn or even burp, those are signs of energy movement. So a lot of times I'll hear people go, okay. And I'm like, okay, it shifted. That doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't always work that way, but that's pretty common.
As soon as you said that, I yawned.
That can happen too, just the power of suggestion. So, Emily, I know we weren't working on anything specific for you, but I'm just curious if after doing a round of tapping, do you notice that you're still at a 4 stress level wise, or if it's shifted any?
No, I do think it's shifted. I think there's a certain sense of calm that comes with it that
Yes.
I would say it dropped it to like a 3.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to do another round of tapping, but I like that you were able to both have a shift because really it's that simple. One round of tapping really can cause you to calm down enough to start thinking, oh, okay, well, I left stuff on the counter. All right, so I did this again. I wonder what I can do differently next time. Or I wonder how I can, maybe I just need to say, oops, I'm sorry. Whatever it is that you're able to make that choose new part, you're able to make a decision that is empowering for you and for your relationship.
I like that. I like that. And I'm just wondering, do you find that the more EFT you do, the quicker you get to that calm zone? Do you find that?
Yeah, I call it the oh well. I get to the oh well, not a big
Oh
deal.
well. Oh well.
It will.
This is
It's
nothing.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah.
I mentioned before I work a lot with women on emotional eating, and sometimes I'll be like, I want a cookie. Never mind. I mean, it's that quick that it's like, oh, well, I know I'm upset about so and so. And I was thinking about a cookie because I was upset, and I don't have to have the cookie. I can just tap and be done with being upset. So, yes, it does get quicker the more you do it on a certain level. Now, back to what we were talking about before, if this has triggered something from your past that hasn't been healed, you may not get as big a shift to begin with because the
Mm,
reality is there's something bigger going on.
mm.
And so sometimes that's where you need to work. But in that moment, when you're with your partner, usually just a little bit of tapping can calm things down enough that you're able to be in a more loving, powerful space. So let's do one more round with this. Okay. So let's go back to the side of the hand. I like to do an empowering round, but you need to get there before you get there, if that makes any sense. Because like I said, this is truth telling. We don't want to just jump to, and I'm happy and everything's fabulous and wonderful if that's not where what you're feeling. But since you said you've gone from a 6 to a 2, when people are 3 and under is when I go to positives. So that's
Okay.
what we're going to do now.
Okay.
So even though I was feeling disappointed in myself,
Even though I was feeling disappointed in myself,
I'm grateful I've been able to release and let go of some of that.
I'm grateful that I was able to release and let go some of that.
So even though I was feeling disappointed,
Even though I was feeling disappointed,
now I can choose to look at this differently.
now I can choose to look at this differently.
So even though I'm disappointed I left stuff on the counter again,
Even though I'm disappointed I left stuff on the counter again,
I'm letting go of the disappointment
I'm letting go of the disappointment.
and I'm choosing to make a different choice.
I'm
That didn't go very
choosing,
well. Choosing to make a different choice
I'm choosing to make a different choice
that is more empowering for me and my partner.
that is more empowering for me and my partner.
All right, so we're going to go around the points. I'm releasing and letting it go.
I'm releasing and letting it go.
And I'm grateful I'm not letting this upset me so much.
I'm grateful that I'm not letting this upset me so much.
And I'm under the eye. I'm glad I can look at this differently.
I'm glad I can look at this differently.
Under the nose. I'm feeling freer and more grounded.
I'm feeling freer and more grounded.
Chin, I'm feeling calmer.
I'm feeling calmer.
Collarbone, and I can have an open, honest conversation with my partner now.
I can have an open and honest conversation with my partner now.
Under the arm, and I'm so grateful to have let that go.
I'm so grateful to have let that go.
Top of the head, and I am open to new possibilities.
And I'm open to new possibilities.
Okay, so let's just take another breath. And a lot of times what I do with people when we've gotten things really low is I have them put their hands over their heart and then anchor in whatever the new feelings are you want to bring in. So if it's I want to feel calm and open to new possibilities, just take a breath and anchor that in. And then just open your eyes, and then you're ready to have that conversation with your partner from a completely different place than you were in just 3 minutes ago.
It seems like, why did that bother me? It's so small,
Yes,
right? Like, what was the big deal? Why did that go into my head and into my cells? Like, that's what happens when you're bothered by things. Like, it's not just in your head, it goes into your body, right?
yes. Yeah, so I didn't get into that part, but I'm glad you brought that up, MC, that sometimes we focus on the emotion, but we'll also focus on the sensations in the body. So I may ask, what does that disappointment feel like in your body? And it may be something
Mm,
like there's a tightness in my chest, or I just feel sick on my stomach, or my shoulders just feel weighted down, or whatever it is. And sometimes we'll just tap on that, on the sensations in the body, and that can clear it without even
mm.
knowing, without even getting into anything deeper.
I'm noticing when I deal with women that have been sexually abused, that they've gone to therapy, they've done all this therapy, they've done all this talk therapy, but it's still in their body. Like they're
Yes,
feeling hurt and they're feeling the pain of it over and over again. I think this
absolutely.
is a great modality to get release that the cellular at a cellular level because you get
Absolutely.
stuck. It gets stuck in there.
Yes, and the body is very literal. And you said that you interviewed Alina Frank, and so she probably got into this, but very common if you've got pelvic issues or anything in your reproductive organs, wherever, it can be because of abuse from the past or whatever, because it is stored in that area. So, for instance, a client that um, had a lot of bladder infections was really pissed off with her partner. Get it? Bladder, pissed off. Yeah. So
EFT
sometimes,
joke.
yes, really, sometimes your body is that literal. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I've noticed like my Qigong teacher told me once that where your mind goes, your body follows. And
Mm,
one of her teachers had, she hated her butt and she always thought negative things about her butt. And she ended up getting cancer on her butt. Like, who gets
wow.
cancer there?
Yeah,
And so those toxic thoughts, we have to watch the way we talk to ourselves
absolutely.
and release them, right? And this is a great way to release those negative thoughts. We got to watch the way we talk about it to ourselves. And if you are taught, if you notice, oh, I've been hard on my body, like a lot of women are hard on their bellies, for instance,
Absolutely.
because they're hard on their bellies. Could we do a really quick EFT on women to help women to love their bodies more? Or let it, how, what would you do? Or just give
We,
me, you could just give
yes.
me the tips on what they could use if you don't want to go through the whole thing.
Well,
Like
no, we
what?
could do some more tapping if you want, but that is such a major issue that I work with, with women, since I said
Hmm.
emotional eating is a big thing I work with, and body
Hmm.
image, hating your
Body
body is
image,
such a
yeah.
big thing. And the things that people say to people who are heavier or whatever, you would be amazed at the things that my clients have said that their doctor has said to them. That one really is upsetting. I literally had a client tell me one time that she had gained weight when she went back to her doctor, and he said, I should take you out back and shoot you. How insane is that?
Oh my
Um,
God.
yeah, yeah. And a lot of times parents will say well meaning things that are really very hurtful. And Yes, and it all gets stored in the body, and there's so much. So yes, we definitely work on loving and accepting your body. And I tell my clients, this is not a one time and done. You're not going to tap, I love myself, I love myself. Okay, I'm done. It's a complicated thing, and especially because our culture tells us that one body type is okay and everything else is not. And for those of us that are getting older, that young is better, and all the body changes that happen as you get older, that whatever. So yes. So yeah, you want to do a round on so we're going to be more
Yeah.
general, not specific here,
Okay.
which is not as useful. But let's just say you're judging your body harshly.
That's a good one.
Okay. So just think about, for anybody that wants to do this in the audience, how badly you're judging yourself. How big is that judgment, 0 to 10? 10 being, oh, I hate my body. It's so gross and disgusting. I can't even look at myself. And I've had a lot of people say they don't want to be seen by their partners. That's a
Mm.
common thing that
And
happens.
they can't get into lovemaking because they're thinking about their belly and the position
Exactly.
that they're in, and they're looking at their belly or their thighs or their arms or whatever it
Or their
is,
butt or whatever.
or their
Yes,
butt, whatever
absolutely.
it is. And we gotta let go of that. Let's let go of this.
Absolutely.
Let's get into the moment. You're
Absolutely.
missing out on some fun,
Exactly.
ladies and men too. Some guys, like, they just hate their beer belly, right? And they've got body image issues too.
Yes. Yeah, it's more common in women, but absolutely it's becoming more common in men. So just find that number for yourself, how much you're judging your body. And so you ladies may be really low. That may not be an issue for you,
And
but
it could be like one body part, not just your
absolutely.
body in general, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Right.
you can do that. You can certainly pick the one body part. I would say the belly, I mean, we
Yeah,
do
I would say
have,
the belly.
yeah, especially after having 2 children and a C-section, it's definitely not
Yeah.
the same as it was.
Yeah, especially if you eat something and you bloat right
Oh,
away
yeah.
after. Like,
Yeah.
that's what's in my mind. If I eat something and then I judge myself for what I just ate, right?
Gotcha.
I just ate something that I shouldn't have eaten, and then I say, "Oh, why did I eat that? Now I'm bloated."
Oh,
So I'm hard
wow.
on myself.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
And you said that one word that I just cringe, and that should. You're shoulding on
exactly.
yourself. So
Exactly.
I tell
Yeah,
people, okay, you could make a different choice next time. Instead of I shouldn't have eaten this. Well, I could
exactly.
have made a different choice. So I try to turn shoulds into
Shoulds to
coulds.
coulds. Yeah, I
Yes,
love it. I
absolutely.
love it.
All right, so let's just do a round of tapping on judging. I'm just going to say my body. And if you want to say the specific body part, then beautiful with that. So going to the side of the hand, even though I judge my body so harshly,
Even though I judge my bloated belly so harshly,
and it keeps me from enjoying lovemaking,
and it keeps me from enjoying lovemaking,
I'm choosing to love and accept myself
I'm choosing to love and accept myself
and how I feel about my body.
and how I feel about my body.
So even though I judge this body part so harshly,
Even though I judge this body part so harshly,
and maybe I'm judging what I just ate,
and maybe I'm judging what I just ate,
I'm open to the possibility
I'm open to the possibility
that I can see this in a different way.
that I can see this in a different way.
So even though I have judged myself so harshly in the past,
Even though I've judged myself so harshly in the past,
today I am choosing
today I am choosing
to be more gentle and compassionate with myself,
to be more gentle and compassionate with myself,
and especially with my body.
especially with my body.
Okay, let's take our glasses off again so we can tap. Just noticing we're all having to do that. So going to the eyebrow. I've judged myself so harshly.
Oh, I've judged myself so harshly.
Side of the eye. I've judged this body part so harshly.
I've judged this body part so harshly.
Under the eye. I have forgotten what my body does for me.
I have forgotten what my body does for me.
Under the nose. And today I'm choosing to thank my body.
And today I'm choosing to thank my body.
Chin. I'm choosing to thank my heart for beating right now.
I'm thanking my heart for beating right now.
Chin. And not chin, collarbone. And I'm thanking my lungs for breathing right now.
I'm thanking my lungs for breathing right now.
Under the arm. And I'm thanking my digestive system for working so beautifully.
I'm thanking my digestive system for working so beautifully.
Top of the head. I'm just thanking my body for all it does for me every day.
I'm just thanking my body for all of the things it is doing for me today.
Back to the eyebrow. I'm choosing to be gentle and compassionate with myself.
I'm choosing to be gentle and compassionate with myself.
Side of the eye. Tender and loving with my body.
Tender and loving with my body.
Under the eye. Being grateful for the pleasure my body brings me.
Being grateful for the pleasure my body gives me.
Under the nose. Just seeing things so differently.
Just seeing things so differently.
Chin. Allowing myself to enjoy my body.
Allowing myself to enjoy my body.
Collarbone. Allowing myself to enjoy pleasure.
Allowing myself to enjoy pleasure.
Under the arm. And I am so grateful that I can see things differently.
I'm so grateful that I can see things differently.
Top of the head. I am so thankful.
I'm so thankful.
And again, we're just going to put our hands over our heart and take a deep breath. And just anchor in that feeling of gratitude for your body, especially for that part that you've judged so harshly. And opening your eyes, coming back to here and now. And I do want to say, everyone, that this is really demo level tapping. This is, you can get some shift, you can feel better from just this level, but the reality is we would probably go into where this started and what it is specifically about your body that maybe there's stretch marks on your belly or whatever. I mean, we would get into the specifics.
So check in with Ruthi if you want to get more coaching.
Yeah.
Because she's, when it comes to that, we spend a whole life, right? How long have we been doing this, judging our bodies? And, right? How long have we been doing this? We've been doing this for a long time. Like, invest in yourself and get rid of this.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's really great. For sure. So, Emily, this is the end of our tapping. I loved it. I'd love it for you to come back and tap with us again.
Oh, I'd love to.
That was great.
Fun.
Great intro to EFT and what it is. That was, I think, again, I feel like there's so much more to go into and talk about and learn. And sort of in that vein, where can people find you and where can people learn more about you and your work and EFT?
So my website is yourtappingjourney.com. So Your Tapping Journey is my website. I'm on YouTube, Insight Timer, as MC mentioned, that I do have a course there called Restoring Balance with EFT, which is what she was referring to, that she really enjoyed. And I do Insight Lives almost every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So wherever you are in the world, whatever time that may be. And for example, this week is tapping into compassion. So it would be similar to what we were doing, but we've done a variety of things. And you mentioned the Akashic Records. Sometimes I'll do one on the Akashic Records on Insight Timer. So, and Facebook, just all the outlets. I don't do TikTok, but
tapping, TikTok, really, and dance at the same time.
It could happen. It could happen. But the majority of my clients are a little older than the TikTok audience. So yeah, I mainly work with women 40 to 60, some younger. I have some 20s and 30s.
Okay. That's
and
great.
Occasionally brave men, but it's mainly women.
Mainly women that want to do this, right? I'm imagining with couples, it'll be mostly the women that will probably be wanting to do this. So having a private session for women would probably be beneficial, right?
Yes, absolutely.
In a couple. And see, some guys are open to it. My husband said he's going to try tapping. I told him we were doing this. He's like, I'm going to try it. I'm going to go for it. Well, he sees us doing it at the office to get rid of migraines. So he's already got the mindset to go for it, I think. And why not? And why not? Yeah. Thanks so much, Ruthi, for coming on the Passion Perspective. Thanks everybody for listening in. We can't wait to chat with you again on the Passion Perspective.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time with you both.
Oh, we did too, Ruthi. Love. Take care, Ruthi. Bye-bye.
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 Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week. We are The Passion Perspective. I'm Emily.
And I'm MC Tovette.
And if you have any questions, concerns, you can reach us at thepassionperspective@gmail.com.
And you can find me at relationshipbliss.ca. My Facebook page is Relationship Bliss. And the Honeymoon Playbook is available on Amazon.com.
Thanks, everyone.
Mwah.